So the lighting sucks and I don't look at my best, but I don't really care right now because there's something that I thought of that I really wanted to say now while I'm thinking about it because of how important it is. I've been doing a bit of an experiment lately. Um, Basically, I've been playing scientific guinea pig on myself in controlled ways, and I'm about to explain to you. I've been doing some digging on basically if you have a goal for fitness, whether it be you want to lose some weight or gain some weight or condition, you need to understand kind of what it is that you need. It's really important, and everybody's different, and there's some guidelines that you can follow, but they're never necessarily hard rules. You need to follow the logic, but you need to tweak it for yourself. And for the longest time in my mind, I always thought that I want to be smaller, so I have to have less. And for a lot of people, and myself included, to some degree, to shrink, you need a little bit less. But in my mind, growing up, um, without knowing the science, without fully grasping really anything, because I was just so desperate to get to a certain point, you know, I need less, that's all I need. And I went through periods where I would effectively starve myself, and then I would just eat. And it wasn't great, and it was one of those things that people kind of, in my family, not even in my family, in my very immediate family, and even then maybe one or two were aware, but it was one of those things like, how do we deal with this? You're dealing with a kid with major mental health issues who hates herself, who is trying to get better in one way and then flailing and failing in another, and I was a mess. And growing up, I might have conquered depression twice. It's in a weird way, it was kind of in the background there, but the really bad shit, pardon my French, but let's get to the base of the matter. I've been doing some research and doing some digging, and this is all stuff that is readily available and that exists and that we know, but people in their minds and their desperation kind of ignore it because they're afraid about what it might mean. That you still need to have a baseline. You still need to fuel yourself, even if you want to get smaller, even if you are bigger and you need to eat, you need food. And I've been doing some research specifically on women who are shorter and smaller, because here's the thing, right? General consensus is, and this is true, that the smaller you get, the less of their you there is, so the less you need to fuel. Bottom line, right? That makes sense, right? You have, if you build a smaller house, you're going to use less brick than if you build a bigger house, and you're going to use usually less electricity down there than if you were going to build a skyscraper, right? That's just the fact of the matter is. But it's still in your mind that, okay, well, then I need to just eat even less than a certain point. But it's true. But here's the thing, that if a caterpillar needs to change, it wants to change. It's told it needs to change, right? Biologically, it's going to change. It doesn't deny itself. A caterpillar needs to eat to turn into a butterfly. Evolution has to have something to build off of. You have to have a foundation to change, and that includes when you eat. So here's what I've done, all right? Despite the absolute terror of gaining weight, which again is not healthy, and I'm going to say that, despite the fact that I was majorly overweight. I'm not compared to some people, but for my body size, I'm 5'3" and I was around 200 pounds, and I can tell based on just the pictures alone. I refused to get on the scale. I get on the scale, I was in the mid 180s, and if you're that height and it's not generally considered muscle, it was not muscle at all. I was probably pushing the high 30 percentages of probably body fat percentage. It was bad. And so you see that scale, and it is a terror. So eating more than what you think you should, it's scary, but I did it. But here's the trick. When you're smaller, when you're shorter, you have less to work with because you are smaller. So you need to eat better. You have to have a better concentration of baseline to a certain extent. So you really, if you're smaller and you're looking to lean out in a healthy way, please bear with me, in a healthy way, you have to eat your protein. You have to eat more protein, especially if you're in a bit of a deficit, because if you don't get that baseline for your muscle, you're going to start to lose your muscle. And that is very, very, very unfortunately true if you're smaller because of that lower margin. Here's really the lesson that I've learned, is that I can eat more. And here's the thing, I ate more, I ate higher protein, didn't necessarily eat better per se, but I have been cooking more, I have been eating to some extent better, and eating better for me, alright? And I've actually gone down a bit. I have more muscle definition in a little more than a week. And even then, I'm still afraid to eat beyond a certain point, even if I probably could. I don't exercise a crap ton. I exercise enough, all right? And I'm starting to increase it again. But like, this is what 140 pounds can look like. I'm not flexing. I've got some oblique stuff. And this is a little bit of loose skin, you know? So, which is all fair and fine, and it's not, let's just say I can, it's not too much. I can live with it. But it's just one of those things. I'm making this video not to, for the only reason I'm making this is really, and it feels so manic and unhinged in some way, disordered at the very least, but I don't care, because I think that makes it more real. And it is very real what I'm saying. If you have to have the resources to change. You have to have the foundation to build, even if what you're building is a smaller you. You have to have it. You have to eat. You have to fuel. Change does not come from an empty tank. Change comes from being passionate, from doing your digging, and from fuel. Your personal evolution has to have fuel. You cannot deny yourself. You need to be smart in what you put in and how you move. That's the bottom line, the facts of it. But you have to have fuel. You have to have a baseline. You cannot go on depriving yourself, because the more you do and the more extremes you get to, that foundation that you have is going to start to crumble. It will. Your mind, your body won't change the way you want it to change. You're going to get upset. You're going to think you need to do more. You're going to take more drastic measures. You're going to fall into a pit. And some people fall into pits they can never get out of, and they don't. That's why anorexia is considered to be the most deadly mental health disorder, because it is. I have seen people, I've talked to people who are recovering or have recovered, and like with my depression, even though they've recovered, there's still that monster in the corner. It's small and it's barely there, but you always know it's going to be there. You have to be careful. You have to be diligent. It's one of the reasons I've not exercising and really wanted to be fit in the first place, because I was terrified of that depression demon in the corner. That's a monster that has ruined my life and threatens to in some ways right now. But I have it to some extent under control, because I am taking control of myself physically and taking care of myself physically, not just control, but care. So for the love of whatever it is that you care about, whether it be you or some higher power or for your friend, just, you need to fuel the evolution. You need to be the caterpillar. Not the hungry caterpillar who just eats and eats and eats and eats, right? But because the moderation is keep it, you need that fuel. I was terrified, and I changed physically for the better. I'm getting stronger. I have good muscle development. It's still small, but it's there and it's getting bigger. I carried 40 pounds up a hill a kilometer in an awkward big ass box. I've done, without training for it, 9 ANSI pull-ups. Reverse pull-ups, the one where you jump up and you hold and you let yourself down. With 100-pound body mass. 100 pound, oh my god, 140-pound body mass. I told you this was manic disorder, but hey, you know what? John can do it, I can do it, except he has an editing team and a script, kinda, I think. Shout out to you, buddy. Anyways, just please, 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 if you're gonna get anything from this, just, I know it's scary, because you think more, you think you're gonna be more. In a bad way. But if you have what you need, which might be more, you can grow in a good way. maybe the scale goes up a little bit, but it's not necessarily bad. That's why you can't, the scale is a tool, not the judge, all right? And it's an important tool, but it's not the only thing. How you feel, how your clothing fits, how much you can do, how much energy you have. You can even measure yourself to see how you've changed. I have been the same weight for over a year, and I have lost inches because I have gained muscle, because I have toned down. Technically it's been 60-pound loss, but if you count all the fat that I've lost, it's 70 plus and growing. It's hard to tell 100% on the scale because, it's a scale, but it's a transformation, and I need to fuel it. I need to get my protein in. I need to get the good building blocks in that I need to build the house that I want to live in. I am the house. You are the house. Get good bricks. Don't deprive yourself of materials to build yourself up, because that's going to destroy you. It will. In one way or another. Invest in yourself. Fuel yourself with the good stuff. Build this temple. Because you're worth it. Please. Don't do what I and countless others have done. I am learning from my mistakes because I had the privilege to do so. Not everybody does. Feed and fuel yourself. You need to. You need to.